Well, hello, hello, hello. I assume that if you're here, you too are right on the verge. Welcome back to Your Take is Excrement, the show where we're talking about the Sigma male films.
Experience.
The Sigma male experience. This is why I say you too must be on the edge, because today we're talking about falling down. I'm May Leitz.
I'm Neo. And when was the last time you fell down, May?
Earlier today.
Earlier today?
Yeah, I'm an idiot. I fell down and I hurt myself.
Excellent.
Yeah.
The last time I fell down was I had a weird ass dream and threw myself out of bed and ate shit.
Oh. I thought you were going to say you fell down the right-wing pipeline, and I was going to be like, no. Let me talk you out of it.
No, that's too clever, and I have brain rot.
So today's episode is sponsored by Whomst.
Oh, it is sponsored by Machine Age Productions and RPG #iHunt and Ambient Dream Studios and at the Etsy store. More on both later in the episode.
Now that's what I'm fucking talking about.
Yeah, it is.
Look at that.
See, look, we're on top of things. No more rambling for us.
Yeah. No. We're very clear and concise podcasters.
Yes.
We don't fuck anything up at any point.
Listen, you get a little Smirnoff Ice Pink Lemonade in me, and I
love that you're drinking at 3 p.m. 4 p.m.
Listen, I got off of work.
Yeah, I know. Also, the podcast upload times have been sporadic because work has been devouring everyone's life.
And I'm just gonna call it as it is. I think a lot of the fans like this experience as for the May part of it, and I'm gonna throw May under the bus and say, the reason that we're doing this a little bit late is because she's released 14 fucking videos in the last 3 days.
Oh, that's true.
And everybody's been busy. So
yeah, and I've been moving books and also rehearsing for a show. I guess if you're hearing this and you're in the Denver area, I have a show on Friday, which is 6/17, right? At Hoochie Hotel, a place that does not have an address yet. So good luck. I don't even know where I'm going.
Listen to the esoteric spirits, and they will guide you.
On the morning of, if you'll send me a message on Twitter or Instagram, I'll send you the address because I'll have it by then.
Consult your local shaman.
Yeah, they will consult your sleep paralysis demon.
They will divine it through heavy use of ayahuasca.
Exactly. Also, Fluids is sold out again for the 5th time. I think there's 1,250 copies in publication now.
Hell yeah.
Just fucking insane. But anyway, okay. Let's talk about falling down
real quick
on the podcast.
All right.
Today. So, all right. So Falling Down is everybody's dad's favorite movie because it's about a guy who's pretty much failed to live up to his social script, or his social script failed him, and therefore decides to go on a shooting rampage. But he barely even decides to go on a shooting rampage. It's more just a shooting rampage happens to him.
No, I think
it's directed by Joel Schumacher.
I think he definitely decides. I think there's multiple moments where he makes the conscious choice to do violence with firearms. But I don't think he thinks he has a choice. So, what's going to be interesting about this particular episode of the podcast is I think more so than any other movie, May and I disagree on the movie. So look forward to that as we enter the battlefield of ideological differences about a dumb boomer movie.
Yeah, it's such a dumb boomer movie, but also okay. So this is very much a 90s Sigma male movie.
Yeah.
American Psycho is something that people still give a shit about right now, but we wanted to dig deeper. We didn't want to just go straight to Drive or Fight Club or some shit like that. We wanted to go okay, well, what's a Sigma male movie that represents the values, is fairly well liked by certain groups of people, but completely is way more nuanced and complicated than anybody is willing to think about it.
Right.
So that's how we landed
here.
Here.
And I think the other old Sigma male movie that we're gonna need to watch is Taxi Driver.
Oh yeah. See that I feel like that's very similar. Um Marty.
get old Marty's take
Yeah.
on Sigma males.
Well, like yeah, everybody's got somebody. Okay, so the video that's going around, somebody was talking about it's literally me movies.
Yeah.
Which is how they refer to Sigma male movies, and basically that's like okay, understand this is an assumption. If I'm a Sigma male, then I think Patrick Bateman is literally me.
Yeah.
And that is terrifying. What are you talking about?
If you think Patrick Bateman, any Ryan Gosling character, defense from Taxi Driver.
Yo,
not defense, defense from Falling Down. The Taxi Driver.
Yes, but did you see Ryan Gosling as Ken? Did you see the picture?
I did, and he looks
fucking great.
Listen, my take still stands. If you see yourself as that Ryan Gosling, go see a therapist. Like, go to a therapist, sit down, and say, "Yeah, I deeply relate with Ryan Gosling," and they'll know what to do.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much. And so there's this movie called Lars and the Real Girl, which is really good. We should watch it for this season, actually, because it's a Sigma male movie for sure. But it's about Ryan Gosling. He's a little overweight in the movie, which is supposed to be like a joke, which is very strange. Anyway, he falls in love with a sex doll. And he doesn't understand that she's a sex doll, I guess, for some reason. And everyone around knows it's a sex doll, but knows that he's too wholesome to fuck the sex doll. So they're just like, yeah, I guess that's his girlfriend.
I just saw that episode of Always Sunny.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, where they get a sex doll of Dennis.
Oh, okay. Very similar.
Mm-hmm.
But my point, I don't remember why I'm saying that this quote unquote literally me, but it's actually the most horrifying behavior imaginable.
Yeah.
Is what I would define as a Sigma male movie. It's like somebody who like sees themselves empathetically in a character that does things that are so like ethically and morally reprehensible because they are not analyzing how it's criticizing people that are like that.
Right.
So Falling Down is like very much that an example of that.
Yes.
While also weirdly being kind of an endorsement of it. It's a vague thing.
Right.
But it's ultimately a movie where the literally me character just kind of does a big rampage shooting, doesn't realize he's the villain,
mm-hmm.
and then accepts his villainy at some point.
Right.
So this is the thing about it being like your dad's favorite movie or everybody's dad's favorite movie, because it's like very literally a movie about a man who's not gonna take it anymore.
Right. Well,
even from his damn kids and his damn wife.
His cause is that everything was really great in the 50s and everything sucks now. So everybody's going to go back to the way it was in the 50s, or by God, I'm going to shoot you.
Yeah.
Is the movie. So like it starts with he's in traffic and he has like a meltdown. Although, and to be honest, I deeply related to his have a meltdown scene in traffic.
Oh yeah.
Because it's like it's just he's in traffic and he has like an ADHD overload meltdown, and he gets out of his car and he's like, "I'm going home," and he just starts walking home.
Yeah, he's just like, I don't think I want to do society anymore. But
yeah,
and well, this is where the movie starts to deviate, because it's like everything, including minorities, are preventing him from getting home. Is
right.
the bit. And so you're like, okay, yikes. Anyway, but the main point, the thing I think we need to talk about before we even get started here, is that this is from famed director of Lost Boys and Batman and Robin, Joel Schumacher, the gayest man in history, who I'm pretty sure at some point in his career said that he really, really enjoyed being an old guy in Hollywood who made a lot of movies because he pretty much could get dick whenever he wanted it, even in his old age. He is no longer with us, but what a king Joel Schumacher probably was. He might have been a bastard. I have no fucking idea. All I know is he directed 8mm, and that movie fucking rules. Also, Nick Cage fucking rules. But anyway, I actually rather like Joel Schumacher.
I
think he's kind of interesting.
Was Batman and Robin the one with Arnold Schwarzenegger?
Yes, it was the Clooney one.
I still need you.
Well, it's just like I think what Joel Schumacher said about that was he was attempting to do something very like 50s Batman with
Yeah.
it, and
No, he
people-
succeeded.
and people just didn't understand. And I think that there's like a fairness in that, but also like the thing that I don't think anybody really investigated, or maybe they have, is that is gay Batman. And that's why it's fucking awesome. Because it's gay Batman, guys. And no one cares. No one watches Batman and Robin and goes, wow, yes. But I do.
I don't think anyone watches it, period.
True. I don't think anybody's really trying to watch it.
I don't think anyone's seen it in 20 years.
Yeah.
Except for the pun compilations.
Yeah. So, but falling down, right? Okay, you haven't seen The Lost Boys, but
No.
The Lost Boys is like very homoerotic vampire boys movie.
Mm-hmm.
Batman and Robin, very homoerotic superhero boys movie.
Uh-huh.
Falling Down is like
The straightest movie of all time.
but it's not though.
it's
That's
not-
the weird thing. It's like it's got this like on its face straightness. It's like Michael Douglas, right?
Right.
You know, carrying a briefcase, shooting people. But, I think about like John Waters, right?
Mm-hmm.
John Waters would make Falling Down. He would make a movie exactly like this.
What would Divine do in John Waters
No.
Falling
He
Down?
would literally make it almost exactly like this. He would just grab a random, very straight-laced dude and be like, and then he went on a rampage and just started shooting everybody. And I can just see Joel Schumacher, like, with glee going, yeah, because like when Joel Schumacher is like, I want to kill society, he's complaining about that as a gay man.
Uh-huh.
When the script is complaining about it and when the movie is complaining about it, it's complaining about it as like a cis dad straight guy.
Right.
Whose complaints are that like the line at McDonald's, or he can't get breakfast at McDonald's for some reason.
When it's like 5 minutes after they stop serving it, or
Right, but
or
this
sodas are 85 cents instead of 50 cents.
Right, but understand that this is such a gay thing. I imagine, shooting a bunch of people at a McDonald's because you didn't get your fucking 10:30 breakfast is so gay. It's just the gayest thing. So like, it's so petty is my point. It's so fucking petty. So like a lot of the stuff in this movie is very much like petty.
Right.
It's like, but that's how it criticizes him.
Uh-huh.
It's criticizing Michael Douglas's character by being like, he is set off by petty bullshit. But if you're a dad Sigma male guy who's like in his 50s, hates his ex-wife and like hates his job, you're watching the movie, seeing this petty stuff and going, yeah, why don't they give me breakfast at 10:30? And then you're finding yourself agreeing with the gay man who's criticizing you.
Right.
And then a decade passes, and the reputation that the movie continues to have is that it's really, really cis and straight.
Mm-hmm.
And it's now, I'm not saying that it's a good movie. I'm saying that it's complicated and a lot more nuanced than I think anyone is willing to give it credit for on either side of the issue.
Well, so to kind of go through the plot. Of
yeah,
the
we
movie
need to
more.
summarize the movie.
So the movie starts with him having a freak out and like just being like, I'm gonna go home. I'm going home. And then he so he wants to call his ex-wife because he wants to coordinate going to his daughter's birthday party. So he goes to like a corner store and wants to get change. The cashier, who's like a Korean dude, is like, no, I can't give you change. You have to buy something. So he goes to buy a soda, and he's like, it's 85 cents. And Michael Douglas, or his character Defense, proceeds to have a colossal fucking meltdown, beats the shit out of the Korean dude, destroys the store, and is like, how much is the soda? And he's like, it's 50 cents, dude. And he's like, right answer. And then he like takes $4.50 from the cash register and walks out with the soda.
Right.
So then he goes and sits on a pile of graffiti rocks where a couple Latino dudes are like, hey, can you leave? Like, you shouldn't be here.
Yeah.
And he proceeds to berate them until they're like, all right, dude, okay. Well, since you're being a prick, like, fucking give us your briefcase. And he takes a bat he stole from the Korean dude and beats the shit out of the Latino dudes. Then he goes to call his ex-wife, who is like, it's like, do not, under any circumstances, come to the house. Like, don't do it. We've talked about this. Like, you can't come to the house. And at that moment, the Latino dudes have a drive-by, trying to kill him. They miss him. They fuck it up and they crash the car. He goes, steals their duffel bag full of automatic weapons. And I think at that point is when he goes to McDonald's.
Yeah, with the bag of weapons.
With the bag of weapons, and he's like, "Hey, I want this breakfast menu," and they're like, "We can't serve you breakfast, sir. It's like we stopped serving breakfast at 10:30." He like looks at his watch and it's like 10:40, and so he proceeds to have the biggest Karen moment where he pulls out a Tech 9, like starts waving it around, and as everyone's trying to leave the restaurant, he holds them at gunpoint. He's like, "No, sit back down. Like you're still eating. I'm getting justice for all of us." Like, this is oppressing all of us. Sit down. Like, I'm on your side. Sit down or I'll shoot you.
Well, and that seems to be the vibe, right? It's hey, I'm on your side. Stop complaining about my authoritarian like mentality.
I'm on your side. If
I'm not the villain, points gun at person.
I'm on your side, and if you disagree with me, I'm going to fucking kill you. So anyway, he holds up a McDonald's and makes them give him the breakfast thing. And then when he gets it, he opens it up and goes on a diatribe about how it doesn't look like the advertisements and how like this is society failing and collapsing and the moral failings of false advertising while he's still holding up a McDonald's. So then... Oh, there's also this whole other like plot where there's this like cop and it's his last day in the force, and he's totally gonna die because it's his last day and he's about to retire. But he hates his wife and she's overbearing, but she's a character that is like she's written to be the worst, so she's written the most misogynistic way possible.
Yeah,
where the character is just all the like really misogynistic wife stereotypes.
Right.
So when we talk about this character, we're not ascribing this to her. The director's like, I'm going to
this is where nuance enters, right? Because, like, Joel Schumacher also has that weird gay man misogyny thing going on and has for the majority of his career in different spurts. So I feel like it embodies itself very badly here.
Yeah. It's like never mind. I was going to make a really bad joke. But
okay, now everyone wants to know what the joke was.
Well, I'll take it with me to my grave.
Okay.
So the cop is starting to figure out what's going on, and he's like starting to like draw a line. So he's figuring out like where he's going. So anyway, so then defense goes and his shoes have a hole in it for the whole movie, and he's like trying to put like newspaper in the hole and shit.
Right.
But so he goes to the military surplus store where the clerk is both trying to sell him shoes and screaming slurs at two gay dudes in the store until he drives them out. So then defense is like trying on his new pair of boots. The cops come in and the guy who owns the store like hides defense from the cops.
Yes.
And when defense is like, "Why'd you do that?" He's like, "We're on the same side, dude." And he like takes him down to the basement, and it turns out
he's a Nazi.
He's a Nazi, and he's like, "Yeah, fuck the cops, dude. Like sig hail or whatever." And defense goes on this diatribe where he's like, "I'm not a fucking Nazi. Like, fuck
Nazis
you.
Nazis are pathetic.
Nazis are pathetic scum."
Basically, Dad going, my grandpa fought the Nazis,
well, and
so...
then the Nazi's like, "But what's the difference between us?" And he's like, "I'm an American, god damn it." He also goes on this whole diatribe where he's like, "Nazis are bad because they restrict freedom of speech, and that is my biggest ideological problem with the Nazis, is they told people what not to say." like right after this dude is like, I have a can of like Xylon gas. I wonder how many insert Jew slurs this killed.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, and so it's like defense's biggest ideological problem with the Nazi like being hyped about Jews killed in gas chambers is that Nazis are against free speech.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's not ideologically opposed because of the genocide. He's ideologically opposed because Nazis are anti-American.
Yeah.
So, the Nazi almost rapes him.
Yeah.
He then executes the Nazi, puts on military fatigues. I missed a scene where he like a homeless dude is trying to like get money from him, and he's just like, and it's also like it's kind of like anti-homeless scene.
Very
Like,
American Psycho. I
Yeah.
just can't relate to you.
Well, but I don't know. I feel like it's even so homeless dude's like, hey, I just need some like gas money to get home, and he's like, all right, where's your driver's license if you need gas money to get home? Where's your car?
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, come on, spare some money for a homeless vet. And he's like, all right, where'd you serve? He's like, Nam. And it's pretty heavily implied that defense was in Nam.
Yeah.
And he's like, bullshit, you're not from, you weren't fucking Nam, dude. And so anyway, so then he ends up like, the homeless guy is like, all right, just give me, it's like, give me one of your briefcases. Cause he has like the briefcase and a bag full of guns. And he's like, you know what? Okay. And he hands him his like briefcase that he's been carrying around this whole time.
Yeah.
And the homeless guy opens it and it's like a sandwich and an apple. And that's it.
Good shit.
Anyway, but so he hates the homeless because the homeless are annoying to him.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's a very LA opinion.
just to
hate the
summarize
homeless.
all of his views through these interactions, he hates traffic because it's inconveniencing
It's annoying and inconvenient. Yeah.
He hates he goes off on the Korean dude. One, because he's Asian and doesn't speak English very well, and two, because he sees him as the symbol of what's causing inflation. So he's really fucking pissed off about inflation. The homeless guy is a nuisance to him. The homeless guy is talking to him when he doesn't want to be talked to. The Latino guys are telling him where he can or cannot be, and the Nazis trying to oppress his freedom of speech.
Or like politicize his actions.
Yes.
Tell him that he's an ideology when he isn't one.
Yes.
So it's like,
where he's like, I'm not right wing, I'm an American.
well, I mean, you've literally watched a million right-wing commentators do the, hey, I'm sick of people calling me a Nazi. I'm not a Nazi, I just enter white nationalist views.
Enter the Pink Floyd bit where he's like, yes, here's all the people I want to line up and shoot.
Right, exactly.
I'm not a Nazi, I just want to shoot Jews. It's
Right.
like,
And
that's
not good, dude.
That's
Well,
not ideal.
And so throughout the entire movie, like, Michael Douglas is killing minorities, so I guess it's fair for a Nazi to be like, yo, are you on my side, my
but
dude?
he hasn't killed anyone yet.
Right. Well, I mean,
first
it's
person he
less
kills is
killing,
the
it's more
Nazi.
just like
But he
being
attacks.
aggressive, attacking, being violent with.
Right. Well, but then there's the weirdest scene in the movie, and and it's the one scene I don't fucking get, where he's like walking on the beach, and there's this black dude who has a picket sign, and he's picketing about how like the bank denied him a loan.
Oh yeah.
And then
fucking what?
The cops come to arrest him, and Defense is like watching this happen, and he's like getting upset about it, and he like looks in his bag full of guns, and he's like, should I stop this? And as the black guy is being drugged away by the cops, he's like, hey, remember me. Defense is like, I will.
Yeah.
So I think, and so my best interpretation of that bit is he legitimately, honestly thinks that he is a champion for the minorities,
For the people, for the minorities.
Like he thinks that because he thinks of himself as like the American dad. You know, he is peak American.
Right.
And it's about at this point in the movie we find out like he was a Nam. He got a Nam. He built missiles for the military.
Right.
He like designed missiles. Then he got laid off, And he had this moment of like I did everything I was supposed to. I joined the army. I worked for the government, and here I am without a job and no
I followed the
prospects.
script,
Yeah.
and it got me nowhere.
So I'm going to
Destroy the society that gave me the wrong script.
I would like to declare a righteous jihad against society.
Yeah.
So that's so
microphone has fallen
so then
over.
he's like still running to his house to and as this goes on, you find out how he's been abusive to his wife and kid, and like and the wife and kid are terrified of him, and they're trying to like stay safe while they know like the unhinged gunman of a father is bearing down on them.
Mm-hmm.
And so then like the next person he goes to, or the next thing he interacts with is he he's like running through a golf course, and the old boomers golfing like hit a golf ball at him. And he flips out because he is walking through the golf course, and they hit a golf ball at him, and he goes on this tirade about how it's like we should just use this for housing. Like it's like, why the fuck do you get all this land? And then one of them has like a heart attack, and he like shoots their golf cart, and the guy's having like a heart attack, and he's like, my meds. And he's like, well, where are your meds, bud? And he's like, they're on the cart. And you're like, he turns, and it's like sinking into like the one of the like the golf legs, and he's like, well, I guess you're gonna die, and he keeps on walking.
Right. Yeah. It's very very callous, but also like it feels like a George Carlin sketch, but
Yeah.
without the like consistency, right?
Yeah.
It's just like, yeah, golf sucks.
Yeah.
People who golf are fuckers.
Yeah.
And if somebody was golfing and they started dying, I wouldn't save them.
Yeah. So then he climbs a fence, gets on the other side, and proceeds to berate the first person he sees because they put barbed wire on their fence.
Right.
And then he's like flipping out at them, and then he finds out that they're not actually like the homeowners, and they're just keeping the home, and it's like a plastic surgeon's house. So at this point where I couldn't keep track of the movie because people, not May or I, were being
talking in the room, but
and just causing
giant interruptions.
Anyway,
Don't touch the microphone.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I too am causing giant interruptions.
It is as it happens. But the point being that like there at the very end, like people started causing a big hubbub, but which was very frustrating. But we persevered. We persevered. Yeah. We had subtitles on, so that helped.
I just missed his diatribe during this portion of the movie. I'm assuming it's about how the rich screw over the poor.
Probably.
And then he goes, and then at this moment he's finally closing in on his family. The cops are finally closing in on him.
Yeah. And so things are beginning to wrap up. For defense.
So he finds his family. He kind of holds them at gunpoint almost. And he's trying to celebrate his daughter's birthday with her, even though she is terrified of him because he has a gun. And his wife is like, just fucking leave. Like, we don't want you here. Like, get out of here. And he's like, no, the script says that you have to love me because I am the man.
Yeah.
And she's like, leave. In this moment, the cop shows up, and the cop reveals that he's been similarly radicalized as Defense.
Yeah.
He has a very similar train of thought as Defense, but where Defense decides to declare war on society, the cop is like, I'm just gonna do what I want to do. Yeah. Like, I'm just gonna make the change in my life that will make me happy. So then the Defense is like, wait, am I the bad guy?
Are we the baddies?
Yeah, well, like he literally is like, wait, am I the bad guy? And the cop immediately is like, yes, like no hesitation, just immediately, yes, you're the bad guy. He's like, oh, but, and he like takes a second to like think about his actions through the course of the movie, realizes that he is not the righteous crusader, like
Than he thought he
carrying out
was.
a holy war against a corrupt society. He's the corruption. Like he's why society's fucked up.
Right.
And so he's like, well, oh shit, I need another script. Like it's like my ego has been stripped away. I need a script.
Right.
And then he's like, oh, well, I guess I'm the bad guy. So he's like, all right, here's the deal, bud. Like, I'm gonna draw on 3. The cop's like, well, no, don't do that. You don't have to. He's like,
Yeah.
well, I got 2 choices. Either you take me in and I spend the rest of my life behind bars, or like you shoot me, and like my daughter gets my life insurance. So the cop's like, don't do this. And so he's like 1, 2, 3. And he reaches in his pocket. So the cop shoots him in the chest. And then he pulls out a water gun
Right.
that his daughter was playing with earlier.
This is very Joker 2017.
And he like squirts it at him. And he's like, I would have gotten you. And then falls over the pier that he was standing on.
Yeah.
And that's the end of Defense.
Yeah.
And with that, it's time for ads.
Wait, is it really? Wow. Hi, welcome to the library. What do you want to check out today?
Oh, do you I've been hearing about this book called #iHunt.
It's a book, not an app.
Well, it's an RPG about an app.
Okay, it's an RPG about an app. Okay, yeah, let me just check here.
That's right. While she's checking, I do dream of a future where libraries carry tabletop RPG books.
It seems we do have a copy of that. Is it the one that is about fighting monsters in the gig economy?
Absolutely.
Oh, that's really interesting. Where can they? So this is cool. I like this.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
While I'm here and getting that, do you, where's that really kick-ass poster from?
Oh, that poster. I actually have that in an art book here. It's an Etsy store called Ambient Dream Studios. They've got a lot of different psychedelic art. You can kind of look at it while you're tripping.
Uh-huh.
And it makes you trip
Makes
out.
you trip.
Yeah, you go wild.
Wilding out.
Wild and out.
What's this book?
This is hold on. Oh, you don't want this. This is patreon.com/excrement. This is basically where you go to donate to the podcast. You can donate $1 or more. We even are taking new sponsors for summer. And you can sponsor the podcast and help us keep the old lights on, even though you can't see any lights.
Yeah.
Keep the microphones on.
Yeah.
Even though they're very, very low energy to power.
I don't need to know that.
They don't need to know that. No, you're right. Well, thank you for coming to the library. Do you want a library card?
Abso-fruitin'-rootin'-tootin'-lee.
Okay, little girl. Sign right here.
Oh, okay.
And we're back to the podcast. I'm still May.
I'm still Neo.
Yeah, how was that pee?
It was a great pee.
Fantastic. I love
9
to hear
out of
that.
10.
No, okay. There's something went wrong, I guess.
Nothing went wrong. It's just not every pee is a 10 out of 10.
That's fair. All right. Well, so we need to begin discussing this film in its intricacies and develop some takes. Do you have any takes?
Let's see. I think it's not much of a take, but I think this movie does a good job of starting you out at a place where everyone kind of can empathize with. Like at the start of the movie, when at least I really empathize with this scene because I have like really bad ADHD.
Right.
Which is like sometimes like when I'm at like an arcade or when I'm in a room where there's like 4 things going on, I will like pop. Like it's
It's very frustrating.
and how this scene shot, where he's just like jumping from thing to 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 thing, and then back to start, and there's just all these things wanting his attention, and he's trying to focus on everything, and it's driving him insane. It's like that is something that is a vibe I very deeply connect with, and so like the start of this movie was like, whoa, it gets me, and then the moment of like, all right, I'm going home. And like just like standing up and leaving the situation is also very it's just something I'll do. It's like, all right, I'm done, and I'll get up and walk out.
Well, it's weird because like this is so not the traditional school shooter narrative, but also this is probably closer to the way that they view it than anything. Where like, you know, they're at the end, they're killing all these children or some shit. And then they're like debating killing themselves, and they're like, "Well, at least I did the right thing."
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Stood up
at
for
least
my
I
principles.
was the hero. You know what I mean? So it's like they see themselves the hero in this, and I think that's almost the most haunting aspect of it. And I feel like that's something that the movie really, really gets down to. I think Joel Schumacher has had firm opinions on that being the thing that's dangerous. It's like in the United States, it's not that gun violence in specific is like more encouraged or something. It's not like, you know, hunting and shit like that. There's a lot of variables that go into like the gun situation. But the reality of it, the thing that really fucks up our country is everyone's tendency to think that they're A, a superhero, and B, the main character. So they think that they're the main character and they're a superhero, and then they think, oh, well, if I buy a gun, it's fine.
Well,
because when I buy a gun, I'm only doing things that are righteous with it. It's when a minority buys a gun that there's a problem. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying this movie is not about buying guns. My point is this movie is painting a situation whereby a guy just like happens upon some guns and decides, you know, I can just say fuck my life and just destroy everything if I really want to.
I don't think he's trying to say fuck his life, because he doesn't realize that the end of the road is death until the very end. He is he's like, I'm doing the right thing, and I'm gonna fix society.
Yeah.
So I think it's a movie about someone has just an absolute like meltdown, and instead of doing like the normal thing where you go and like, you know, binge eat or something, like you know cope in any way people cope with this shit. He's like, all right, well, I'm gonna take out every minor grievance I have against society on a minority.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do it in such a way where I think I am still righteous and protecting them.
Right. Well, and ultimately, this is a guy that was working at, you know, I mean, it's in his name, defense. Like, he sees himself as being a defense worker for the United States. He is protecting our society with his day-to-day duties.
Right.
And so when he goes into McDonald's and has a petty interaction, he sees himself as a defensive person.
Yeah.
So he's defending against the aggressors at McDonald's.
Well, I wouldn't need to do this if you didn't have a bullshit policy.
Yeah, and he just literally...
Why are you making me do this?
He literally can't see the elements of, like, class at play and things like that. He can't see the like, order in like microcosm. So he sees like the McDonald's employees as like more powerful than him and threats. And the reality is he's the most powerful person in that situation. And just because he can't get breakfast doesn't mean that he like doesn't have power. He can get whatever the fuck he wants. It's an arrangement of the same food in different like patterns.
Right.
And these like lower class minimum wage workers are not in any way infringing on his rights.
No. Well, and it's like the whole thing when he flips out at the Korean guy for inflation. The Korean guy doesn't fucking control inflation. He can't arbitrarily say, yes, we're going back to 1960s prices.
Right.
Because he doesn't control that.
Yeah. I mean,
so,
like, very literally, inflation is not his fault.
No. Like, there's, like, inflation's a big old complicated thing, but the people, like, the middle class and the upper middle class and the 1% of society are the ones who are most directly impacting inflation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, and so he is more culpable for the rising inflation than this dude who just owns a fucking corner store.
Yeah.
Like, and so it's like, every Karen moment he has, like every time he takes a stand against society, he doesn't realize like his initial gripes are fair. Like, it's like, yes, inflation is bullshit. The fact that I have to pay more money for the same thing when I'm not getting a raise is bullshit. But instead of looking at the cause, instead of actually really looking at, wait, why aren't my wages increasing proportional to inflation?
Yeah.
He is looking at the person who is also affected by inflation and saying, fuck you.
It's as if he can only see the things that are directly, literally right in front of his face.
Right.
Like, just directly right in front of his face. Like, he can't understand the concept of systemic issues, which is bizarre because, like, you would think that someone who considers himself a government employee, like a defense worker or some shit like that, you would think that person, without any doubt whatsoever, would know a thing or two about how government systems work to influence, like, a microcosm of society. And his bit is that people aren't polite anymore, and that's the problem. People don't suck white people's dicks anymore.
Right.
And his, like, mental image of society is one where everybody sucks white guys' dicks all the time and give him whatever he wants and roll the red fucking carpet out for him no matter what he wants. So his, like, big I'm gonna storm off tantrum in the middle of traffic, is just like, first off, he's inconveniencing the people around him because he's just leaving his fucking vehicle. And then, and he just expects somebody will take care of it for him. And that person's presumably a lower class worker or a minority. Great. And then, like, he just is like, yeah, I'm just gonna go walking and cause all these problems. But in his brain, he isn't causing problems. He's just carrying out.
Right.
And his version of carrying out is being like, why is everybody not sucking my dick? I'm a white guy.
Right.
I should be able to get whatever I want in this society.
Well,
and it's literally like he simultaneously thinks that his life is shit and garbage, and he's also so privileged that he can't, almost to his own frustration, see how society works around and without him. And so he struggles to find, like, a motivation, even.
Right.
Like, his motivation is so entirely selfish that he can't conceptualize the idea of a selfless motive.
Right. Well, and, like, there's this comparison where it's like every single cause the WASPs pick up, or white Anglo-Saxon Protestants, every fucking cause they ever decide to take as a voting block and as an ethnic block is rooted in ignorance. It's rooted in, like, what the fuck do you know about this shit?
It's very Trump-like, this whole thing, because, like, right? Because the idea is, like, I'm just a white guy who thinks everybody should go back to the time when everybody was sucking white people's dicks.
Right.
And then the Nazis come out and go, this is what we've been fucking saying for decades.
And it's like, I'm not a Nazi!
And then they're like, whoa, I'm not a Nazi. I just think that we should go back to the time when everybody sucked white people's dicks all the time.
I just think segregation was great, and stealing from everyone who wasn't white to prop up WASPs was really cool. But I'm not a Nazi.
Yeah, exactly. So, and it's very much like that scene with the Nazi, right, is so 2020 white guy politics, where they're just like, they'll say something that's Nazi-like, they'll do something that's Nazi-like, and then the second a Nazi shows up in their mentions to be like, are you one of us? They'll be like, no. And it's like, yes, you are. You're the most useful to Nazis.
Yeah.
Because you're out here obfuscating the fact that you're a Nazi without saying it because you're too ignorant to acknowledge that the views you hold are white nationalist views.
Jordan Peterson not
Yeah,
JPEG.
yeah. And well, and so then it ends up with this situation where people are playing it going, well, is this intentional or is this not intentional? Are people like this? Or are they not? You know,
Yeah.
is this person a Nazi in disguise? Like, are they lying? Or are they ignorant? Do they just not know?
Uh-huh.
And I think a lot of it has to do with this main character thing, where they're just like, I mean, whatever I do is justified because
Right.
it's me. And whenever I'm doing it, it's fine. And so I'm an individualist. I don't fuck with this collectivist bullshit. I don't fuck with these other people on the planet, sharing life with me, the universe staring back at me kind of bullshit.
Right.
I'm more all about, like, you know, getting exactly what I want as an individual, being left the fuck alone, and being able to say and do whatever I want without any consequences at all.
But like American individualism isn't even fucking individualism. It's
hyper individualism.
it's not even
It's
that.
specificism.
It's I want to be in a group,
That's a word.
and I want to be like the alpha. Like I want everyone in the group to give me their shit. I want to exploit everything I can.
I will be accepting a share from. Well, yeah, and it's like,
And so-
it
and-
comes across like white people generally want immigrants and minorities and the lower class and shit like that to pay some kind of weird tax to them for
Right.
letting them live on their little
Right.
rock.
So
And it's like,
like-
this is not white people's rock.
Yeah, well, and so it's literally not individualistic. It's they just want like an exploitative system, like a racial-based exploitative system, or
Exactly.
a class-based exploitative system. And so I don't think it's even fair to call it individualism, because it's like, look at fucking Finland, right? They're individualists, but they're the kind of individualists who are like, if I'm within 10 feet of someone else, I'm going to kill myself,
Yeah.
It's like if someone steps within 10 feet of me, it has ruined my day.
It's not rugged individualism. It's rugged entitlement.
Yeah.
It's like, I deserve the shit out of this. Why are you treating me like I don't?
Why
Fuck
aren't
you.
you sacrificing so I
Your
don't have
autonomy for me.
to? Yeah.
My autonomy is the only autonomy that matters.
Well, like abortion. It's like, I want to feel good, so you can't have rights.
Right, exactly.
I don't gain anything from this other than being able to be smug, and you get shackled with poverty.
Right,
You know,
exactly.
it's like, the whole, it's Trump's literal whole bit. We're gonna do the racism and make the minorities pay for it.
Right.
It's like, but
We're going to tax the minorities for we're letting them live on our rock. And that mentality is basically like a goalpost shift away from, like, this is stolen land taken over the course of hundreds of years, molded by bad politics, molded by, like, bad actors. We've had like 10 presidents in a row of bad actors at this point, who, like, were pretty much engaging the government in bad faith, like, from the start, like, either trying to obtain some sort of financial. So the people looking to Trump, right, we're looking at him going, okay, well, here's a guy that has no desire for financial gain. He's already wealthy. He's already in charge. He doesn't need to be president. He's choosing to do so. And then the left is seeing it as like, oh, this is just a narcissistic, vain thing. He's just, like, stroking his ego.
he's also broken and needs to steal every possible dime he can from the coffers.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing, is, like, he's a bad actor, but his performance is different than the ones that they were used to. The performance we're used to is the weird Reagan model, where it's like, I am above everybody else, but also I make petty decisions that fuck up everyone's life.
I am Ronald Reagan, and I will destroy the poor. Where's my jelly bean?
Yeah, well, and so Trump's model was just like, I'm not going to do that. Instead, I'm going to pretend that I'm the hero, and I'm going to say exactly what every dumb, white, middle-class, like, cishet guy is saying about how society needs to suck their dicks, and then basically enough people will support that populist idea that they'll never investigate the fact that it's ultimately white nationalist. And every
Right.
time a white nationalist comes out and supports me, I'll be like, I don't know the person.
Well, they're probably a pretty good dude, right?
They're probably a fine dude, but I don't support their politics. And basically what that's saying is like, I agree with you, but I can't say it.
Yeah.
And so my point here is just that, like, the one assumption that this movie makes that I think is incorrect is that these like bad actors are not doing this somewhat intentionally.
Right.
Because the question is, are they doing it out of ignorance or intentionality? And I think they do intend to take society back for the whites.
Right.
I think even falling down, I think that is the thesis statement of his character.
Mm-hmm.
Without him being able to consciously perceive it, he wants to take society back for the whites from the scripts that have been holding them back. But he doesn't blame the right people.
Yeah.
And he doesn't have a conceptualization of blaming the right people. He only blames the wrong people. He
Right.
only knows how to blame the wrong people.
Yeah.
So he doesn't. It's almost blameless. He's walking around going, okay, well, clearly on a microcosm, this Asian guy who's running a convenience store is charging 15 cents more for a can of whatever. Clearly, this is the source, and not himself.
Right.
And I think that's kind of the weird thing at the end, right, where he's like, "Am I the bad guy?" I think in a lot of weird ways, this is talking about political war and like America's mentality interacting with the world.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's almost like a satire of the way that American white society has dealt with minorities around the world.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they view themselves as defense, and then they go around policing the world.
Right.
For minor things so that they can basically take things from them.
Right.
But this movie makes the somewhat odd assumption that this is in no way intentional and it's just kind of like an accident of happenstance where I'm not necessarily saying they have a plan, but I am saying that they are schemers.
Right.
And while they might not know what they want, they know what they want. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think if there's anything about this that I think is a little bit immature, it's just that it makes the assumption that defense does not know what he wants.
Right.
And I think he does. I think he would. I think if this were being made today, he would. And so any dad out there that's going, yeah, fuck the way that society's organized. I love Falling Down because it's a movie about a guy who doesn't take it anymore, is not realizing that it's about it's about the failure of one's own like desire to fulfill an unfulfillable script in a society that has failed them.
Mm-hmm.
And they want to defend the society from the people that they see are challenging the society, not realizing that the society itself is the thing that's holding them back and everyone is oppressed by it.
Right.
And so the whole "am I the villain" thing is just like, yeah, but like not even, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're just an idiot. You're a
Right.
useful idiot. The villain is the thing that's holding all of us back that you refuse to acknowledge or think about because you want to be petty and entitled about all this shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Real quick, I'm gonna backtrack.
Okay.
Did you hear that thing where Lauren Boebert, whatever her fucking name is, it's like a mega church, and she was like, all these Twitter liberals keep on being like, how many AR-15s did Jesus have? Well, he didn't have enough to keep the government from killing him. And it's like, do you not understand like the most important the most important aspect of the crucifixion?
Right.
Like, do you know, it's like why do Christian fascists just not get like the most obvious theme in the Bible?
Right.
Like it is
the big one.
it's like if you're going to ignore everything else, you should probably know about the crucifixion.
Right.
You know, and it's like that's just how they fucking bumble through the world, where it's like the key theme of the crucifixion is like Christ willingly sacrificed himself for the sins of humanity, right?
Right.
And then the conservatives are like, well, if Christ had more guns, he could have shot the Romans and not be crucified. Where it's like, but that's his entire purpose.
His whole bit is being like, look, my body isn't super important. It would actually be more worthwhile for me to die on this cross for this particular minor point than it would be for me to like do a big war and fight. Like that is against my intentions.
Right.
Like
Christ can like there's elements where Christ will meet with like Jewish zealots who their ideology is like, it's like the Messiah is here to like declare war on the Romans. And Christ is like, nah, fam. Like that's not it.
Yeah.
So it's like so it's just I watched that clip and it's like this is just like so all encompassing. This is like it's like they can't even bother to like pretend to get like the single important aspect of the crucifixion, and that's like the willingness.
Right.
But yeah, it's something you said earlier like reminded me on that, and I had to just get it out.
Yeah.
It's driving me nuts.
Well, it's just like, I mean, but that's the thing, right? Is like the thing they learned from Jesus is that, every male is a main character. And every male must sacrifice himself for something, and that is his script. And then if he wants to break against that script, then basically he's doing an anti-Christian act. It's like refusing his Protestantism, which is seen somewhat evil, but like also it is martyrdom, so it continues to align with like conceptual beliefs, even though in a linearity, like it doesn't track.
Right.
It doesn't make any sense, but they can throw out these concepts and words and assume that they mean something and they mean a direction. And so basically they're just like heading in a direction, knowing that at the end of it lies martyrdom, even though they don't really know what or why they're martyring themselves. So they're just like, any opportunity. It's funny. There's this movie called Hot Tub Time Machine. It's really stupid, but Crispin Glover is in it, and he plays this guy who lost his hand, and they go back in time, and he's got his hand back. So they're like, any second now, he's going to lose his hand, and it's going to be really gnarly. Let's watch. And so they're always watching him, waiting for him to lose his hand. And he keeps ending up in these situations where he almost does it. It could have happened, but then he keeps moving on. And they are always like, damn it. We wanted to see it happen. And then eventually it does happen, and it's really lame. But the point is, it's like that is the weird male martyrdom. It is going, I know at the end of this, I have to die for something. So I better start thinking about what that thing's gonna be now, so I can just go ahead and get ready to die for it. And like constantly waiting, is this the thing? Is this the thing? Is it a girl? Is it politics? Is it, right-wing genocide? Like, what is it gonna be that I'm gonna choose to implode my life with? And it's just like, why don't we just fix society and try to live better lives?
Right.
But that's never the thing. It's always an explosion of violence in a stupid direction. And I think Falling Down is like very literally about that explosion of violence in a stupid direction, as done by men, in a sad way because the script has failed them, but in an aggressively angry way because literally he's just being a bad actor and playing the role of conservative politician without actually like saying that.
Right.
And like I feel like Joel Schumacher's perspective, because he is dead and this movie is very old, is a bit dated to our current modern issue. But I do think that in a weird way, while every Sigma male dad in the world thinks that this movie is fantastic and agrees with them, I think it actually really doesn't, and is almost satirizing their viewpoint.
Right. Well, I think it is. I think it is definitely satirizing their viewpoint. Like I think the movie is fundamentally mocking the people who empathize with defense. And I think that like it's like with more so than any other Sigma male movie. I think that this movie hates defense and hates people who agree with him. But everyone who watches this movie are people who watch it because they really ideologically agree with defense.
Mm-hmm.
But the whole point of the movie, the entire movie, is explaining why he's fucking stupid.
Yeah.
Why he's just an absolute idiot who ruins his life and other people's lives for no fucking reason.
And as much as he thinks that nothing's working out for him, everything has a weird tendency to work out just fine for him.
Yeah.
And it's almost like his life was never actually all that bad.
Right. Well, it's like he gets laid off. So, but instead of like
Getting a
trying
new
to
job.
find another job, he pretends to keep his old job until he pops.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and instead of acknowledging how he was abusive to his wife and kids and like trying to be a better person, and even like instead of trying to reignite that relationship from the grounds of like, hey, I want to recognize what I did wrong.
And try to do better.
Trying to do better. He's just doubling down on it. He's like, no, This is my script. This is who I am, and I will. It's like I will if they won't love me, they will fear me into accepting the script.
And I think that's the thing, right? It's for conservatives, love means fear.
Yeah. Well,
I don't get it.
I need to actually sit down and watch it, but I've been watching on TikTok like clips from The Boys, like season 3, and one of the key themes is like Homelander, who's the conservative, like
right, of course,
like fascist. Like his whole bent in season 3 is he's hit the point of like you can love me or you can fear me. You choose.
Right.
But if you don't love me, I am going to ruin the world.
Right.
And so it's this whole like, well, shit. Like if you don't treat these like cishet conservative dudes with fucking kitty gloves, they are just gonna go shoot up a fucking school.
Right. And it's the threat. It's they all benefit from it, right?
Yeah.
Is every time there's one of those school shootings, people think that it makes us more scared and more as a society. But the reality is it's vindicating a certain part of the population, so that we are always terrified of that part of the population, and we never treat them even a modicum of non-dick sucking. Like,
yeah.
Because if we're worried that if we stop sucking the dick, they will shoot us.
Right.
And as much as they will say all day long they don't agree with that stuff, they don't see it as like a good thing, you can distance yourself from it, but if you benefit from it, you benefit from it. Right. And the reality is a lot of WASPs in the country over the age of 50 really, really super benefit from school shootings.
Right.
Because we're afraid of them.
Yeah.
And white kids, right? Young, angry white kids, incels, we're afraid of them. We're afraid of them.
Yeah.
So they win. And they'll all be like, oh yeah, fuck that shit. I can't tell you how many leftist dudes I've dated who are like, yeah, I don't agree with that shit. But they do benefit from it.
Right.
Because they are white guys who, without realizing it, make open threats constantly.
Well, and they'll relish in it.
Exactly. They relish in it, and they will never acknowledge that they're relishing in it in that very moment.
Right. So
it's literally what my next book's about.
We're not on a crusade against cishet white dudes. But what we are saying
is trying to say that there is a fear there that has developed.
If you're a cishet white dude and you make people fear you because it makes your life easier, go fuck yourself.
Yeah, that's a very American tendency. Try really hard not to do that.
Yeah.
And with that, is this movie some bullshit or is this some gold? What do you think?
Well, I want to hear you first.
I think you mostly want me to. I don't like this movie.
You don't? Put it in the shit pile?
I'm gonna put it in the shit pile because I feel like this movie, while attempting to hit its mark, has the satire problem where just about anybody who doesn't understand any of the like underlying issues would either A, see this movie as a threat. Like, it comes across like a movie that's endorsing hurting minorities, even though it might be a satire. And it also comes across as like a movie that is endorsing his worldview, even though it is criticizing his worldview. And I'm not necessarily saying that you should blame the movie for the way that people have bad media literacy towards it, but I am saying that acknowledging its purpose and ideas, I think that this movie has probably been more damaging than it's done good. And while I think that a movie like this probably should exist with its same level of intense nuance, I think it needs to be a bit more aggressive about what it's actually trying to say.
Right.
And while I love that Joel Schumacher is like a gay man who's unafraid to make the movie where he says the thing, I like that. I like that he is like a daring and brave filmmaker. But he also worked in the Hollywood system pretty intensely and did a lot of weird Hollywood intense shit, and I don't think that he was necessarily in touch with the way that things absolutely actually are.
Right.
And because of that, I think his film stumbles at doing things that it probably should do more on its face directly.
Right.
So I'm not. I hate that our podcast is the whole bit is that we don't have any nuance, because this is the moment where I'd say it's okay.
Yeah.
But I guess I got to put in the shit pile, because really when it comes down to it, most of the movies that I've put in the gold pile are movies that I love and endorse wholeheartedly. And like, as much as I don't like to be like, I don't want to canonize this thing, but like, in my opinion, if I never saw Falling Down again for the remainder of my life, I don't think I would miss it. So I'm going to put it in the shit pile.
Well, I'm going to put it in the gold pile.
Okay.
Because I think that, like, I don't, falling back on, like, nuance thing, I don't think it's a perfect movie. Like, I feel like it's like all your complaints are still very valid.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think that if you can't have this movie because of media literacy, like, what the fuck can you have? It is, like, I feel like this movie is so heavy-handedly, like, it's like defense is an absolute idiot, and he is wrong, and he is literally like, what's wrong,
stumbling through his life
with society. Like, he is the cancer he's seeking to eradicate.
Yeah.
If it's like, it is so heavy-handed, and if you can't understand it, I don't know how to help you. Like, maybe just stop watching movies. Maybe just like duct tape your mouth shut. In Dragon Age, bear with me on this.
Okay.
There's this one race, and in Dragon Age, like, mages are problems for everyone, and everyone has to figure out how to cope with mages being able to mages will sometimes just turn into a giant demon, because they had a bad nightmare. And weren't able to stop that from happening. So everyone has to figure out how to like keep their mages in check so that like cities don't just explode randomly.
Yeah.
And one of the races does that by sewing their mages' mouths shut, so they can't do anything.
Yeah.
So it's like if I don't know, I feel like if you watch Defense and you're like, this is a movie about how white men need to go on a crusade against society, maybe just sew your mouth shut.
Yeah, maybe that's not. Maybe this whole living thing.
Maybe this, I don't tell anyone to kill themselves, but maybe just like stop talking. Maybe just don't
detach yourself from any public society in a way that you might damage people's lives. That would be probably smart.
Yeah, maybe just I don't know. Probably don't have kids either.
Once again, I find myself going, anybody who watches this movie and goes, yeah, I agree, fucking scary psychopath.
Yeah.
Same with American Psycho. Anybody who watches this movie and goes, yeah, fuck women,
Wow.
I agree. Fuck that guy.
That's literally me.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
and I find...
Please don't talk to me.
As we continue this, by the end of this, every time we do this, the reason people like it is wow, that's literally me. And the fact that people feel that way about this like dumbass shooter is really stupid. The people feeling that way about this rich asshole murderer, really stupid. And it's going to continue that way into the foreseeable future.
Wow, I wish people were absolutely terrified by me because I throw temper tantrums.
Exactly. And there's so much of that in all of these movies where they have a tendency on their face to be about men who react with anger when they're afraid to scare other people, and it works. And this vilifies a part in a lot of men where they're just like, oh, cool, I can do that. I can scare other people simply by being a powerful man.
Right.
I didn't know that. Then it teaches them that, and then they do that for the remainder of their life.
When all of these movies are like, hey, here's a tendency, don't do it.
Right, exactly. And so it's frustrating because, like, I think one of the things I'd like to find out in this podcast is where that line is. How do we criticize the thing without telling people that this is what we want the world to look like? And so I guess we're going to think about that as we go.
Yeah.
I've been May Leeds.
Oh, real quick. We need to think of a question. We did that for like 2 episodes. And then we stopped. A question?
Well, I think the question is what I just asked, which is like, how do you make a movie where you criticize, or how do you tell a story even, where you criticize this particular viewpoint without incidentally making people think that you're agreeing with them by proxy of being so very close to their views?
Right. Well, see, you have a smart question. I was going to have a dumb shit-ass question.
Oh, what's your dumb shit-ass question?
I don't know, but we'll stick with your intelligent question.
Does pee is stored in the balls? Is that the question?
No, I don't. I don't have one on deck. Is pee
stored in the balls?
All the ones I'm pulling up are dumb and bad, even for a dumb bad bit.
Okay.
So we'll see you next week.
Yeah, just let us know in the comment section if pee is stored in the balls. I'll see you next week. Goodbye.
Bye.